So what you are watching on the screens, a military aircraft. But we will be able follow the news. Ni yabe say President Donald Trump will order the military and a U.S. military to storm Venezuela to actually take and arrest Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela president. In the middle of Venezuela president, and the US said they've taken control of the country. Trump said, because to stop drug inflows, but they don't know contradicting at the point in time, saying, Obama US oil companies are started drilling oil. So basically, it is because of US own strategic interest and a key interest, which is the oil, because Venezuela has the largest oil reserves under any land here in the world. It's sansem na air coso. But for some reason, sa niemane coso na US force so one particular vehicle, one particular aircraft use. This particular aircraft, we are learning say a United States aircraft a different year King Air B200 aircrafts. And the tail number is 60171. We are learning that this particular aircraft on the screen, that's the real aircraft, and there are two screens also. It's operated by the US military elements. Now we are learning that Ghana has your north, your Paga National Park, crocodiles near the Ewo. But your parents say your northern border around Pagano. Any who say which we share with Burkina Faso. Any who say aircraft for some reason they be any nam. What you say the aircraft is hovering around this area. So at the end of the day, we are learning that this particular aircraft, it was seized. Intuition has said, the reports say the Paga local police commander who helped the youth to briefly hijack the unannounced and declared US aircraft has been transferred. According to the US police, according to the Ghana police, any investigations aircraft, and Ghana, and Burkina Faso border, sir, and a police commissioner, and a police commander, a steady aircraft name was an aircraft. What is it up to? Because this is the border. I didn't know and for some reason, on one casano, commandant or year what, and only you to know almost CZ and almost hijack. So US aircraft here, a year unannounced. Almost hijacking the pay. And it is at the end of the day, no information about say hijack no hijack, yes, order from above. Into a transfer commander, we want to put this on the screens, okay? Now, you read some of the things that if you move by we especially the video, you be just sound of this particular aircraft, so you can see exactly what this whole thing is basically about. Into Osha the way two screens no so now Osha the Awahasia and no or say reports say Paga local police command. In fact, you read it down parts in the bar first. Or say alert. A King Air B200 aircraft tail number 60171 operated by US military elements was hijacked by angry residents of Paga near border with Burkina Faso following several days of clandestine activity in the town's unpaved airstrip. In the part say sir, if anything aircraft and then number the use sa then nam go for feel so you need the Bonisu na team and nkofo ye tada into okoye na aje so park ya kurufu na so and ye ko CZ aircraft or money police commander into aircraft no and the screens no so no as you can see no we the number no any we a frontal view of the aircraft and a we another view of the aircraft. So guess what? Almost CZ aircraft they pay information but say you go CZ US aircraft one thing the call so your friend is saying Venezuela 92 to say police commander and vehicle is see together with you to no mobile phone and to CZ aircraft and check and order eba say commander no CZ aircraft and transfer to show. So reports say the Paga local police commander who helped the youth to briefly hijack the unannounced and declared US aircraft has been transferred. Before a bit now so that bonfire aircraft ye military aircraft near bomb tit abonsam afi the brony aircraft background intimi stopping because you slow ebiana Trump why then ti no me afa the team ama wama aircraft no wakase a hijacking military aircraft be one say Ghana no two US bombers abaye. So regardless yen kwhwe a brief encounter of these particular aircraft a stormy Paga ye CZ ya these are issues we eba back, we definitely have another angle to this particular update in terms of the US military activities and also Venezuela. Okay, so following this whole aircraft by Menuka Sia transfer police commander for hijacking or new to CZ aircraft, no, just a baby so baby in Venezuela. Menuka say Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuela president, he's been arrested and also transported to the United States of America. And US is saying that they've taken over the country. Now, the US commanders is telling the world how they did this and the reason behind this. You can watch a brief video of this. Yeah, Babaka. We will continue with other issues if you good board, however.
This operation, known as Operation Absolute Resolve, was discreet, precise, and conducted during the darkest hours of January 2nd and was the culmination of months of planning and rehearsal. We watched, we waited, we prepared, we remained patient and professional. This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years, many missions over these last many years. This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do. It required the utmost of precision and integration within our joint force. And the word integration does not explain the sheer complexity of such a mission. An extraction so precise, it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose, to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of tactical surprise. Failure of one component of this well-oiled machine would have endangered the entire mission, and failure is never an option for America's joint force. Those in the air over Caracas last night were willing to give their lives for those on the ground and in the helicopters. Let me talk a little bit about the preparation. After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets. In early December, our force was set pending a series of aligned events. Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel so, as the president said, they could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of the year. And over the weeks through Christmas and New Year's, the men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met and the president to order us into action. Last night, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean, mountain, low cloud ceilings. But when tasked with a mission, this organization does not quit. At 10:46 p.m. Eastern Time last night, the president ordered the United States military to move forward with this mission. He said to us, and we appreciate it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed. And those words were transmitted to the entire joint force. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. Thousands and thousands of hours of experience were airborne. Our youngest crew member was 20, and our oldest crew member was 49. And there's simply no match for American military might. As the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead, those forces were protected by aircraft from the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area. The goal of our air component is, was, and always will be to protect the helicopters and the ground force and get them to the target and get them home. As the force crossed the last point of high terrain where they'd been hiding in the clutter, we assessed that we had maintained totally the element of surprise. As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level, we arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time, and the apprehension force descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed.
So that is the issue at Air Corso. We'll be moving on to a